Not going for some reason.
Hey, we're live, and we just saw a very short snapshot of Anton as he disappeared into the background. Welcome, everybody. Another Kalicube Tuesdays. It's Tuesday. It's 5 p.m. here in Paris. And what time is it in North Carolina?
It is 11 a.m.
Wow, bright and early for you. I'm usually not up until midday.
Nice.
You get the song. A quick hello to start the show. Welcome, Alisa Meredith. I just changed the melody.
I had no idea there was going to be a song. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, some people get taken by surprise, and some people are only on the show for the song.
You know, I think I actually requested a song because I had just gotten an Ian Anderson Gray song. And now I feel like every show needs to start with a song.
Yeah, I wanted that from Ian Anderson Gray because apparently he writes a different song for everybody, whereas I just have the same song and I just change the name at the end.
Well, you know, goals.
Yeah, well, I mean, my aim is to keep things simple, and that's my simple song, and it works beautifully for its function, which is to say hello and welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me here.
Brilliant. It's absolutely delightful. We're going to be talking about Pinterest in B2B marketing, which is a contradiction in terms, if you ask me, but you're going to explain to me why it isn't.
Okay.
Which is brilliant. Before we do that, we're going to look at brand SERPs. Your brand SERP, this is my specialist topic before we get talking about Pinterest.
I didn't know about this little bonus.
I Googled your name.
Okay.
Your site comes out number one. You have some of those new site links, which instead of being full site links, they're just kind of little indentations, which are really interesting. Your site has got them. Google's understood what the homepage is, which page is about you. Awesome. I'm still fighting to get that, and I'm the brand SERP guy, so I really shouldn't be beaten by Alisa Meredith, Pinterest specialist.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. No. I'll look at your site, figure out what you've done, and I'll do the same thing.
Okay, so you're welcome to it.
And then your Twitter boxes. I love Twitter boxes. It means that you're active on Twitter, that your audience is engaging. Google can see that it's useful and helpful to your audience.
Cool.
So absolutely brilliant. And then if we look at the next screenshot, there you go. I looked in the videos vertical, and what I like here is that people tend to think that YouTube really dominates. And as you can see here, YouTube doesn't even get a look in the top 6.
Wow.
So that was to demonstrate that you can actually, I mean, you're obviously much more of a social media person, Twitter, Facebook, and your own blog. These are really powerful ways to get videos into the SERPs, both in this vertical, but also in the main ones. And YouTube, although it dominates, doesn't dominate half as much as people think.
Interesting. I just kind of resurrected my YouTube channel. I hope it will show up someday.
Right. Oh, well, YouTube is very good, but what I did like about that was you actually genuinely looked interested and surprised. So you're a great actress.
No, I really was.
Charming and delightful. Right, so into Pinterest for B2B marketing.
Yes.
Now, my very vague kind of attempt at Pinterest was about 10 years ago, and I was posting pictures of myself with pictures drawn on my head. I would go up to people in the street with face paints and say, draw something on my head, take a picture and post it to Pinterest. It didn't take off.
What made you think that would be a good thing to do on Pinterest?
I don't know. I called it bold art, and it was very silly, and it lived for about 3 months. And the idea was just to get conversations going and meeting random people and having art on my head that I would then, temporary art that we could then rub off. Why would Pinterest be good? I don't know. Can you tell me?
Oh, it would not be good for that.
Oh, no. Right. So I got it all wrong, didn't I? What is Pinterest good for then?
Well, let me first go back to your idea, because I think that there is a place for it. And I think the place for that is TikTok. I think you were just ahead of your time.
Oh, good point.
Wouldn't that be fun on TikTok?
Yeah, that would be fun on TikTok, especially if
like doing it live. Yeah. Okay. So I expect to see that on your account.
Right. Yeah. So I was using Pinterest because Pinterest equals pictures to me.
I see. Yes. Well, it's an interesting thing. Pinterest.
That was a polite way of saying absolutely not.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people tried to take what they knew about what worked on Facebook and what worked on Instagram and tried to just put that over on Pinterest, and we're surprised and disappointed when it didn't work, right? And then they give up and they say, oh, Pinterest doesn't work, or it doesn't work for me. Okay, understood. Like that, I completely understand why you would feel that way. And yes, Pinterest is huge for B2C. And I think one of the questions we had was, can B2B compete with B2C on Pinterest? And the answer is no, it can't.
Right.
But it doesn't have to.
No. Well, can we just start off with a really quick,
Yeah.
succinct explanation of how B2C works on Pinterest? And then we can move into B2C and start comparing. How does B2C work in Pinterest?
So people do buy because of what they see on Pinterest. So it's like 89% of pinners say that they've bought something because of what they've seen on Pinterest. So it's quite powerful, excuse me, for commerce. The other thing is that people, when they go on Pinterest, are very early in that buying decision, and they're not looking for something specific. So 97% of searches are not branded. They're just looking for an idea, some inspiration, or, you know, maybe a little entertainment. So that's how it really works well for B2C. A lot of times they'll get to your email list from Pinterest, or they will go to your Instagram from Pinterest, and then they will purchase. B2C is more about the ideas and the information. The end result can be the same, right? They go to Instagram or they go to your email list and they eventually work with you. It's just a little bit different.
Right. So, I mean, the idea of Pinterest is I'm browsing around looking at images as a B2C client or person. I see something that I find attractive or interesting. So it has to be objects, or can it be services, which is the B2B side?
Yeah, it can be both. The objects are going to be easier, right? Because Pinterest is a pretty powerful thing. It can actually identify what is in your photo, and it will add in keywords on the back end that go with what they've identified in the photo. So that gives your B2C a little bit of an advantage, right? If you're selling a suitcase, you show the suitcase. Pinterest knows what it is, and it's really easy to distribute. Now, if you're selling a service, how do you show a service?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder, right? So you might use, like, if you're a travel agent, which I don't even know if those exist anymore, but you would show that same photo of a suitcase, but if that's all you show, Pinterest has no idea what this content is, right? So then you add a text overlay. Pinterest can read that and kind of distribute it the right way. But yeah, B2B is definitely more of a challenge, but it's not that people aren't interested in it. So if you have,
it's more to do with the representation, because if we come back to B2C, from what I've understood, Pinterest have really nailed the analyzing an image, figuring out what's in it, tagging it so that they can then push it up. And Google are actually quite a long way behind, which is terribly offensive to any SEOs listening in. Bing are quite good, but I think Pinterest are leading the field. And isn't there a thing where if I've got a shirt on with a necklace, it can identify the necklace?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you see a pin or even an image anywhere else online, there's a little Pinterest extension that you can kind of drag over the image. Pinterest will find that for you on Pinterest.
Right.
It's very cool. Another thing that's working really well right now are shopping pins. So if you have a store, you can set up a feed, and Pinterest will update your pins for you every day, creating new product pins.
What? Oh, sorry. So when you publish a new product, it will create a pin for you.
Yes.
Rather than pinning every day the same list of products, it will just basically keep pushing your products out.
Yep.
As they're created. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's similar to a Google shopping feed. The easiest way to do it was with Shopify. So I haven't had any clients who have this yet, so I'm actually doing this myself. I started a store yesterday because I want to do it all myself and see how it works. Yeah, so there's an example of searching for a necklace, and you can kind of.
And they've got the lozenge pills things at the top, like a la Google, as it were, to dig down. So they've really got a good grip of this. Brilliant. Thanks, Anton.
Yeah, they do. So something I wanted to share is, people think about Pinterest and they think cupcakes and wedding dresses, right? Or maybe shopping. But if you look at your Pinterest analytics and you go to, it's called Audience Insights, you can look at what people are interested in on Pinterest. You can compare the overall Pinterest audience with your audience. And what I have found almost without exception is one of the very top categories, and one of the things that people are especially interested in is finance.
Really?
Yeah.
Finance, as in money.
Finance as in money.
There isn't a second meaning for the word finance, which is
there
like,
is not. No, one of those kid terms that we don't know about. No. No, and then it will break down. So my particular audience is 4.87 times more likely to be interested in finance than the general Pinterest audience. But I'm telling you, every account I look at, finance comes up near the top. If I look at, go ahead.
Have you got any explanation for that? I mean, are you going to come to the explanation, or are you just going to say it's strange?
I'm going to try to explain.
Ooh, brilliant.
Okay. So if you look at it, it will break it down for you further. So what I see under finance interests, and it will order them as far as like what my audience is mostly interested in. And here we have some of the things people are looking at. Yes. Emergency fund. How much do you need? Because Pinterest really is about planning for your best future.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
No, you're talking to somebody who thought that people drawing on my head would be a good idea for Pinterest. So you're obviously talking. Brilliant, nice. Anton. Thank you. The draw on your head challenge image with two very, very sweet looking kids. So
yes.
they had the idea a long time before I ever did. But sorry, so from that perspective, planning for your future. Sorry, I don't see that.
You don't see that. Okay. Well, if you're writing about finance on Pinterest, you're not going to write the 10 mistakes you're making.
No.
In budgeting. You're going to write how to plan for your vacation, how to save for your kids' college. Right? It's about how my life will be better, or how I will be better, how my family will be better off. So when you break down the different interests underneath that finance category, we have things like financial planning and insurance, real estate, banking, budgeting, investment. Like, does that sound like Pinterest? No.
No. Well, but that, and then we come to the question of how do you represent it in images? And what Anton just showed with the finance was that the images were what are they called? The kind of organigram things. What are they called?
There was some infographic.
Yeah, infographics. That was it.
Yeah.
7 tips to avoid being a money moron, for example. 20 of the best Dave Ramsey tips, whoever Dave Ramsey might be. But so do infographics work really well on Pinterest? Do they read the text and be able to pull it out?
Well, they tend to get a lot of saves, which engagement is good. It helps your content be distributed more because Pinterest will show your content to your own followers first. They look at how your followers react to it. And if they react well, it gets more distribution. The thing with infographics is people save them. They don't tend to use them to then go to your website. And that's the challenge, right? So if I were going to create one of those infographics and use it to create traffic to my website, which is what people generally want from Pinterest, and we can talk about that in a minute because that's changing. I would tease it out, right? I would give the first 5 and then say for more.
Ooh, so 20 tips from Dave or whatever it was called. You put 5 and you say for the other 15, go to this website.
Yeah.
You're a genius. So simple, but so clever.
It's very simple. Yeah. But it works. So I think, though, anytime we talk about Pinterest these days, we have to talk about how it's changed. Like, even if you don't know what it was before, it has changed a lot in the last year or so.
Right.
Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Is this linked to COVID or is it just Pinterest changing?
I think in a way it is linked to COVID. So Pinterest had enormous growth in 2020. And a lot of where that growth came from was from Gen Z pinners. Right. So the makeup of pinners has changed tremendously to the point that I looked at my analytics, I looked at my audience insights and the age, and I thought, this is a mistake. Like, it's not possible. It can't be that that my users are so young. Like, if I look at all Pinterest users, all of them, 20, let's see, we have 18 to 24, let's see, 25 to 34 is the biggest age group.
Right.
And that actually, I think that flip-flopped from 18 to 24 was the biggest for a while. 40% more Gen Z users now than there were a year and a
Wow.
half ago. So the people using it have changed. Pinterest itself has changed because it's a public company and it needs to make money. And so what does a social-ish platform do when they need to make money? They keep people on the platform.
Right. That was kind of, you were saying it was changing. They're becoming a walled garden, much like Twitter and Facebook are trying to keep people on the platform. And I mean, with YouTube, for example, they will reward content that keeps people on the YouTube platform by pushing that content more to new users. Is Pinterest moving that way?
Yes, they are. So this was announced not that long ago. Yes, big changes in demographic. It was announced that they're changing. Like Pinterest used to be a place where they connected pinners, the people who use Pinterest, with ideas, right? Didn't matter who it was from, and they'd send people off to your site happily, which was fantastic for bloggers, right? We loved it. But now they are trying to connect pinners with content creators. So what that means is they've created a new pin format called idea pins that were originally called story pins. And it was real clear what they were going after because they said things like, your story deserves more than a double tap, or your story lasts more than 24 hours on Pinterest. It was like, obviously a jab at Instagram. But now they're called idea pins. They do last forever. And it's like a multi-page pin. And usually it's a combination of video and static pins. You can put like a supplies list in there. You can do text and stickers and music. And they don't link out.
Right. And so you said videos there. Is videos becoming something quite big on Pinterest? Is that something we should be?
Yes.
Oh, right. Sorry. Excuse me. I ask another really stupid question.
No,
but sorry, I was thinking about it because on the Kalicube Pro platform, I actually analyze which platforms are dominating in the video verticals in SERPs, and Pinterest doesn't come up.
Oh,
so
perhaps
it's
because
either
we're not making enough video. Like,
well, it might be because there isn't very much, and it might be a problem with crawling in terms of the vast amounts of information that Google's trying to get. But that's definitely something I'm going to look into. But video is becoming more important. It's something that people are pushing, or the Pinterest are pushing more and more.
Yeah. So when I was at Tailwind, we did a study of pins that got 5,000 or more saves on Pinterest. And I can't tell you how many of them were videos. There were things like workout videos and craft videos and recipe videos, like showing how to do a thing. So when people think video on Pinterest, sometimes they talk about like just an animated thing, right? Like they'll have like an arrow that moves and like that. It's technically a video, but it's not what works. It's actually showing something. And those still link out. So you can get traffic from video pins. I highly recommend doing those. But what Pinterest is really interested in right now are idea pins.
Right. Idea pins being basically a story. Now, the other thing about the stories, you were saying it stayed out there 24 hours, and that's an achievement. Is Pinterest, like Twitter, incredibly yesterday's news is gone? Or does it have this kind of duration of content where things will pop up years later?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes your best pins are from ages ago. They're hideous. You hate them, but they keep coming back. They keep bringing you traffic. So, you deal with it. I have an idea pin that it may have hit 500,000 impressions at this point. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. I pinned it back in April. I think it was one of my first. And it just keeps, like, it might dwindle for a while and it comes back up. And then, so it's, anything you do on Pinterest is kind of an investment, right?
Right. Yeah, because I love Twitter. 500,000. Anton's impressed.
I know. I'm kind of surprised.
I tend to use Twitter a lot, but I also realize that it disappears off the face of the universe very, very quickly. And kind of Pinterest from that perspective kind of interests me. But then I'm in B2B with Kalicube Pro, talking about brand SERPs and knowledge panels. Pinterest isn't going to be incredibly interesting for me. All I would ever do in terms of images would be post interesting knowledge panels.
Well, you could do that though. Ooh. So when I knew we were going to have this conversation, I thought, all right, so just to be clear, my idea pins that I'm creating right now are for my paintings. So I do fluid art.
Right.
And I make these time-lapse videos, and then I will show all the materials I used and the recipes and all that. That's why I'm getting all those impressions. But also Pinterest wants to show them. So I went to look and see what are people doing B2B for idea pins.
Right. Yeah. Now this is where it gets interesting, because all of a sudden now I'm telling the Katrina and Joanne, who do the social media for Kalicube, are watching this. We're going to start Pinterest, and they're going to be going, "Oh no, another thing."
That makes me so happy. Yes. Well, I'll be there for them if they need me.
Oh, brilliant!
So,
That's really kind.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to. And then I'll share these links for you for these story pins that are B2B, or I mean,
Right.
sorry, idea pins. And the reason I picked these out is because they had a lot of reactions on them. So you can do like hearts or good idea. You can do comments on idea pins, which is weird but fun. Like I thought I would hate it. And a lot of even Pinterest marketing experts are saying, don't use idea pins, like boycott them because they don't give you traffic. You cannot fight the platforms. If they say, we want this thing and we're going to promote this thing, you do the thing and you find a way to make it work.
Oh, I like that. Sorry, but it is you're not going to beat them. You're not going to change their minds. But the ideas would be branding. Then it would be getting the brand across. And in fact, in my case with knowledge panels, it would be getting the idea that knowledge panels are important across to people. Absolutely. And making them interesting where people think they're actually boring. In fact, incredibly interesting.
See, and that can come through on your idea pin. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. Sorry. 100%. I was about to say they're actually only interesting to me, but actually I think that might not be true. I think there might be other people out there.
It's not true. And people are on Pinterest to learn things, and a lot of people on Pinterest are on there to build a business. So I pulled up this one, and it's 3 tips on ethical pricing for new entrepreneurs. Does that sound like Pinterest to you?
No, it doesn't. Are you looking at it on your screen?
I'm looking at it right now.
So are you going to describe it? I'm
going to describe it.
Brilliant. Oh, walk us through it, Alisa.
Okay, so the first panel, as recommended, is a video panel. Now, what are you going to do for this? Well, they've been pretty clever, and it's just in the background. There's a video. I can't even really tell what it is, but it's intriguing because I can't really tell what it is. And then there's text overlay. This says 3 tips on ethical pricing for new entrepreneurs, and then has her username. The next panel is an image with some text overlay. And it's really walking through, it's like a mini blog post, but it's in panels. So there's tip number 1, do market research. Your prices should be blah, blah, blah. Like that. Then there's a reminder, and it keeps going and going. And what I love about this one is that they've used the description to provide all that information there as well. So people have reacted really well with this. There have been 25 reactions. And if they're getting any kind of action like I am on my pin, they've got a ton of impressions here. They also have a whole bunch of comments from people who are appreciative of this information. And if this was my pin, I would be able to look at the stats and tell how many people are visiting my profile from this pin and how many people followed my account from this pin.
Right. And from that perspective, I mean, for the video, for example, does it have sound or is it silent video?
Let me see.
But can you have sound?
Yeah, you can have music. Here's a little friend for us.
Right, we had a different cat earlier on. We had a ginger cat earlier on. Now we've got this one.
Now we got this one, Bo. I don't know what his deal is. He's probably just mad that I won't ever let him go outside. So this one does not have any sound, which is fine. Most people don't turn the sound on. I typically don't either. But you should consider showing your face and or using your voice, because the point is to get them to know you, right? Which is weird because this is very non-Pinterest a couple of years ago. It's a whole new way of thinking about it, but it's also a whole new opportunity. Like, you know, anytime a new platform comes out, we want to jump on it and get that kind of early adopter advantage. Well, we have that with Pinterest because idea pins are new. A lot of people have resisted making them. There are a lot of terms that you can search and no idea pins show up at all. So you know that means people aren't creating them, because otherwise it'd be all up at the top. Pinterest is all in on this, so I suggest that we should be as well.
I mean, because the ideas that I was going to call them stories, but you said they'd change that to ideas. Is actually it's much richer for them if they can analyze one image and get lots of tags out of it. From a video, they're surely able to analyze an awful lot and get an awful lot of tags, which makes it much richer for them, much easier to actually get this content in front of people. The question from my perspective for that then is for keywords. How do you deal with keywords in Pinterest? How do you know what people are searching for?
So you can go up into the search bar and hit the little magnifying glass. Then you start typing something in. So my next pin I was looking at is about tax season. So I'm going to start typing
about
in.
What? Sorry?
Tax season.
Tax season.
Yeah.
Finance and tax season. Delightful. I was expecting necklaces and red shirts.
Nope. This one has 407 reactions on it. It has 30 comments on it. And it's just a person talking with some text overlay. Okay, so I'm going to just take that idea and run with it. I typed in the word taxes, and like with Google, you have this drop down that will show you other related terms. So I've got taxes for small business, taxes humor, taxes for self-employed, taxes tips, quotes, aesthetic, organization. So I would use those keywords if they applied to me.
Wow. So in fact, what Pinterest is doing, tax season humor, tax season survival kit, tax season quotes. Quotes about tax season. It's really scary. That's my quote for tax season.
That's accurate, yes.
So yeah, the thing is, if it's moving towards this idea of videos, then it becomes a platform where, from B2B perspective, I can actually push my content out there.
You should. Yeah. I'm going to send you this other link too for this tax idea pin. It's really simple. You can absolutely do this. And
the person's just explaining taxes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's not fancy at all. Now, one thing I would suggest, so text overlay, yes, very good, because people a lot of times aren't listening. Although this one they must be, because there's not a lot of text overlay and there are a ton of reactions. Use Pinterest's tools to add those. So the reason I say that is, and do it on mobile. You do not want to do this on desktop. There are far fewer options, and it's a real pain. Do it on mobile, and then you can add the text from the pin creator. And I don't have an inside bat phone to Pinterest, but I suspect that when you use their tool, it creates a special connection, right? So they could read your text overlay if you did it in Canva or anywhere else. But if you use their tool, is it easier for them to read the text?
Yeah. Probably, right? If you're using their tool, you're injecting it straight into their database.
This was my theory.
So they have a database, and they've got your video, and they've got the text related to it from the fact that you created it, rather than having to extract it and put it in a database, which is going to be more flaky. But that's brilliant. But doesn't it take an awful lot of time? I mean, I'm terribly not very good with my thumbs on mobile phones. Isn't that incredibly difficult?
I don't think so. It takes me about 25 minutes to make a really good idea pin.
Okay.
Which is a while, but it's not horrendous, and it's kind of fun. The other cool thing about idea pins is that you can add stickers, you can tag brands, you can even tag products. So
and just one question, then we can go on with the sew.
Yeah.
Is it the vertical format, or is it horizontal?
It's vertical.
So it's the same as Instagram and YouTube Shorts. It needs to be vertical.
Yes. So, and you're kind of hinting at another thing, which is people are like, I don't want to create more content, and I'm already working. You've already made the content. So just take the raw video, the raw photos, and put them on Pinterest as well. It's the same. It's the 9:16 ratio for the idea pins. So you've already got it.
So it's taller than it is wide.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm just clarifying in my little brain, because I've got a thing called the Daily Brand SERP, and I'm now thinking this would absolutely be perfect for it.
See, you're going to do it. You're going to do it.
I am going to do it. I can feel
you didn't
it in my
think
bones.
You were going to, but now you are. Okay. Happy. Okay. So yeah, you can tag products. These products can be your own products, right, from your catalog, or just a
Right.
URL on your site, and Pinterest will create a product pin. It will put it underneath there. And those work really well. Or if you are an affiliate for programs like Refersion or Rakuten Advertising, or I think it's ShopStyle or Target even, you can put your affiliate link products in there and make affiliate income from it.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, right?
Ooh. No, well, actually, I was looking at Ferris Bueller's Day Out. Well, hang on. This gets more interesting than it sounds. I was looking at the knowledge panel for Ferris Bueller's Day Out, and with knowledge panels, you can claim them. And when you click through, you can claim it by, if you're the person who runs the Twitter account in this case, or the Facebook account, you can claim it. But in fact, the Google has associated a Twitter account with Ferris Bueller's Day Out that's actually run by some person who's just doing an affiliate system. They've created a Twitter account just for Ferris Bueller's Day Out. When you go there, you click on the link, it goes to Amazon with an affiliate link. So that person, if you're watching, which you probably aren't, Instagram would be an amazing place to push all of this stuff out.
Yeah, or Pinterest even.
Oh, sorry, Pinterest. Oh, God, dearie me. Sorry, I was getting overexcited about my knowledge panels. I lost track.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense. But it does sound to me like, isn't Pinterest kind of moving over into the same world as Instagram? Aren't they going to tread on each other's feet?
They might. I think it's an interesting move. When it first happened, I thought, well, this is terrible. They're losing who they are. I don't want to do this. But they've kind of grown on me as a content creator. I really like them. I like seeing all the actual comments come in and questions about the process. It's something I'm not used to. And still, do I want to do that same thing on Instagram? Not really, because what I do is kind of raw and unfiltered, and my studio is kind of a mess, and it just feels more comfortable for an introvert on Pinterest. So,
right.
Yeah.
Pinterest is for introverts and Instagram is for extroverts. And TikTok is for extreme extroverts.
Yes, that's how I see it anyway. I do think of Pinterest as the introverts network. It's like, it's not about me. It's about what I can do for other people, or if it is about me, I'm just planning stuff. I'm not showing off. Like, it's not about me.
Right. So continuing on the B2B idea, then, I mean, from my perspective, you've told me about not stories but ideas, and then photos. Or images. You can also comment on images, so you can get a conversation going around those.
Yeah.
And the main aim of all this is to get people to visit your profile and then start following you, so you can then push it out.
Yeah. So you do want to get more followers, because the more followers you have, the more distribution your content tends to get, if it's pretty good. That another study we did at Tailwind showed that the people who consistently high performers have over 10,000 followers. So you want to get those numbers up, because if you look at your home feed, you can tell why you're being shown each pin. So there are three little dots that you can click on. It will say, oh, you're seeing this pin because you follow this person, or because of previous activity, or because you have a board which is about this.
Which brings me to another question. We've had two questions. One of which is, when it showed a lot of the traffic and a lot of the visibility you get is from Pinterest actually pushing you on other people because they think you're going to be interested, as opposed to people searching for stuff. So the majority is going to be that push idea.
I still think people search more than anything else, but that home feed still is a place where people will browse. And that's where you're going to see things like, okay, you're seeing this because, why am I seeing this? Inspired by my recent activity. This one is, this is from someone I follow, right? So it's a nice mix of stuff in your home feed.
And so the second part of that question then is that what Pinterest are going to be doing is saying, this person specializes in this particular topic, so you're interested in this topic, therefore their content will interest you. So it's the interest in Pinterest is to be focused and stick on topic, and to be a specialist, rather than trying to pin about all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, and frankly, that is something I have struggled with.
Right.
Because my account is marketing and painting.
Okay. I think you'd struggle on any platform with that. But yeah, what's your particular struggle on Pinterest?
Okay, well, my account has been a test for everything. So I've done all the things that you shouldn't do. So I started out with a personal account, and then I thought, well, it should just be business. So I started posting all about business. Well, those people who followed me because I pinned stuff about recipes are now seeing stuff about content marketing, and they're like, I'm not interested in that. So nothing that I created or saved about content marketing ever went anywhere. So then it was, all right, well, maybe I should do a mix and then like attract more people, different people. So I started doing all of it again. And I thought, no, this is dumb. What I really want them to care about is my business content. Went back to all business, and all this stuff I wrote, people just didn't care about because that's not why they followed me. So don't do that. Don't do that. So what I've done now is everything that's personal is a secret board now. Like people can't see it. It's just for my benefit.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to share my painting pins, and I didn't want to make a new account. And that is going great, but it's also going to mean that the people who are coming to me because they like this are not going to care about my Pinterest content. Yeah, that's okay. I'm still just playing around.
Anton's showing on screen Alisa's Pinterest page, and it is very much dominated, or at least the latest content is dominated by the painting, the fluid art.
Yeah, well, you know why that is?
If I might say.
Well, thank you.
I was looking at it.
I know. Thank you very much. The reason for that is that Pinterest is so all in on idea pins that they put them all at the top.
Okay.
You have to scroll down underneath. So I want to create some idea pins for my business content, but I don't want to mess up my, right. Don't do what I do. I'm just playing.
Yeah, and I actually advise people. So some people look at my sites to copy what I'm doing for the knowledge panels or for the brand service. He's saying, don't, it's a permanent experiment. And you might pick something that simply doesn't work or has sent it all out the window.
Yes, I'm glad you understand.
But so actually kind of doing these idea pins for a business, it's going to be more difficult. I mean, you've really got to plan it, whereas for something like a painting, you can just go, oh, there you go, and everyone, you like it or you don't. Whereas with business, you've got to plan a message.
Right. And that's the thing. Any kind of content where you are planning and creating this content, like if you're a recipe blogger or a DIY blogger, you're already creating this content in the process. It's no big deal. You've got it already. But it is a lot harder if you are a blogger or service provider. You kind of have to storyboard it. And I did create a couple of pins like that for Tailwind. They took forever, and I wanted every panel to be a video, which also took forever. Just the first one as a video is fine. Like if there's
Sorry, can an idea be just a video and you just have the one screen and it's a video and it lasts 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, and then you don't actually need anything beyond that?
I do see some of those. However, I think you're going to see fewer and fewer of them because I think it's cheating. So Pinterest wants you to tell a whole story, and they've said and we think it takes at least 5 pages to do that. The other factor is that you want people to advance from frame to frame. That's another form of engagement. So these one-page stories, I think, are going to start disappearing.
Ooh, yeah. No, sorry, I'm thinking out loud, but yeah, that's brilliant to know. And then when you've created your idea, I keep wanting to call them stories. I can't get it out of my brain.
I know.
Do you tag them? You write a description, is that correct? You write a title, you write a description.
Yeah.
That's shown on the page alongside the idea, and then you tag it.
Yes, there's also an option to add like a supplies list or a ingredients list as well. And the more information you can put in there, the better.
Sorry, ingredients to the idea or ingredients because you're talking about recipes?
That would be for a recipe, but for the painting, there's a supplies list, right? So there are different kinds of lists that you can use.
Oh, with the idea then that I've got these supplies, and then people can then say, I need to buy those supplies, so it actually does become very quickly very commercial.
Yeah, but it's also really helpful. Like if you're watching my idea pin and you want to do this painting, you want to know exactly what went into it, what you need to buy so that you're not frustrated and irritated when you're trying to do it. So all the ingredients go in there. That is one of the things too, where some people will say, I hate idea pins. My users say they are annoyed by idea pins because there's nowhere to, you can't go and find more information about it. Like you can't act on it. But that is because you haven't put enough information in your idea pin. It all needs to be there.
Right. It needs to be a self-contained story explanation, which is actually, when I was looking at YouTube Shorts, that was the advice they were giving.
Oh,
is
really?
It's a minute and it needs to be totally self-contained. You get through it really quickly, you get to the end, you go, I've learned something, I've got something I take away and do, or, you know, and if it's not totally self-contained, it doesn't really make sense, which from the infographics you were talking about earlier on, saying like, give them the 5 and then say, come to the site for the 15 would be a different technique.
Right.
So you've really got to, it just strikes me as with all of this stuff, you've really got to think about what it is you're trying to achieve, what it is you're doing, what content you have and how your audience are going to interact with it, which goes for all of these platforms. Honestly, Alisa, that was absolutely brilliant. It's got my brain buzzing.
I'm so glad.
I'm totally stunned and delighted by Pinterest for B2B marketing. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody for watching. We're going to quickly announce next week, if we can have that slide up. There you go. It's going to be Joe Pulizzi talking about media is the new marketing. It's going to be phenomenally good. Anton tells me that Joe is one of the nicest people out there, smartest people out there. He speaks 100 times a year, and this is going to be 101. Lucky him. 101 is on Kalicube Tuesdays with me. Passing the baton, Alisa.
Yeah. So did you know that Joe Pulizzi wrote a novel?
No, I didn't.
Did you know that? I didn't know that either. But he did. He did. It's called The Will to Die. And it was awarded the best suspense book of 2020. So yeah, okay, he might have founded Content Marketing Institute, but he's also a novelist and he wears orange, which is a lovely color.
And we luckily picked the orange that goes with him.
I don't think that was a coincidence. It was?
Total luck.
Oh, okay. Well done.
We choose the colors totally at random. You got green totally randomly. So yeah, brilliant. So I've now learned something about Joe. I'm excited to speak to him next week. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Alisa, for a brilliant talk about Pinterest. Being a nerd on Pinterest turns out to be a terribly exciting occupation.
Yes, it is.
A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Alisa. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye.